Good to go.
Yeah.
What's up, guys? You are here with Coach Wolverine and Coach Kelowna for another conversation over drinks. Talking about getting comfortable, being uncomfortable, being uncomfortable. Again, outside, working on some cold exposure. It's not really getting more comfortable, but the whole concept is great. And today, I'm going to cut right to it. We're going to talk about one of the old sayings that I've heard everywhere. It's kind of the devil you know is better than the devil you don't. We're going to break that down a little bit. Coach Wolverine's going to talk about the theory in regards to the mind and what that actually means, and and then we're going to touch on some scenarios that'll get us stuck in.
Okay. So, as complex as the human mind is very lazy, and it likes to seek comfort in chaos. So, for example, if we want to get from point A to point B in the most efficient way possible, it's a straight line, right? So, when we are currently in some sort of chaos, okay, we want to make sense with ourselves why that chaos is okay. Be it a bad relationship, be it a bad position as a job, be it the current state of the world and opinions, etc., etc. So, through the course of time and conditioning, your mind makes sense of it by being like, wow, this is okay, this is okay, this is okay. So when we finally take a step out of our normal chaos and into unfamiliar, that new unfamiliar, even if the normal chaos is no longer there, becomes a new sense of chaos. That new sense of chaos that's unfamiliar entices us to go back to where we once were. This is why we get bad relationship cycles over and over. This is why we get yo-yo dieting. This is why we keep welcoming toxic people back into our lives. The list literally can go on and on through self-sabotage, just because unfamiliar is a different level of chaos.
And then, so just a nice little simple way that I like to kind of describe this to people, and in regards to how we're pre-wired to just be efficient. When you first walk into a classroom or a room or a course or whatever you're doing, you're assessing the situation. Who's teaching the class, who's in the class, who's around, where the class is, where the windows are, where's everything. You're taking in all of this information, you're processing all of it. You walk in the next day, take a look around, go back to the seat you were just at, you sit down. You do that every day, and then say you come back in, someone's sitting in your seat. You're going to be a little annoyed, a little uncomfortable in a sense, because now your brain doesn't want to reprocess everything. It doesn't want to be like, oh, now I got to go somewhere else, now I got to do something I'm not used to. So you go do it. But the whole thing is that your brain doesn't want to do that. It doesn't want to process it because it's wired to be efficient. And that's one thing that we need to understand in the comfort from being uncomfortable. We actually have to recondition ourselves to be more apt to doing. We need to notice when we're falling into old habits, when we're falling into lazy situations, because that's just how we're wired, right? So when it comes to, say, a job or a conversation with a friend that you're just like, oh, that's just the way it is, but it constantly makes you uncomfortable and makes you annoyed, but you never do anything different, nothing is going to change. And I know Dylan's made a few big comments on it, like if you want change, you have to change. I've said it too, and that's the big thing. If you want something to change, you have to do something different. But I do want to make a note here, by no means are we saying that as soon as you get uncomfortable, you need to turn around and run away because you're uncomfortable. That is the exact opposite of what we are saying. Yes, it may take the chaos away for a second, but if you leave chaos, you will find other chaos. You need to address it and do it in a way that can provide growth, or at least be in a way that's going to solve a problem or get you to the point where the actual only logical solution is to step out of the conversation.
Absolutely. So to paint a different picture, very similar to the one Coach Kelowna just painted, when we find ourselves in a bad relationship, okay, and we start contemplating, hey, we got to get out of this relationship. So then we decide to take that leap. But now all of a sudden we feel uncomfortable because we're no longer in said relationship. So we jump into another relationship, not having learned the lessons from the most previous relationship. Now, this next person, they might be a dime. They might be the absolute perfect person for you. But because this new relationship is now unfamiliar, and because you didn't go through the steps in the process to figure out what was bothering you in the first relationship, you just ran from it, the human mind will then start to create scenarios as to why this new relationship is just as bad. You will start to self-sabotage because this new unfamiliarity that actually is potentially comfortable is no longer chaos, because that is what we are programmed to be comfortable in. So we self-sabotage, we start picking them apart, finding every little flaw that they may have, which in reality is a reflection of what's going on in ourself, that we didn't do the work. If you want change, you have to do something different. The very definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over, expecting a different result. Now, is everyone insane or not? You tell me, because I continuously see this habit in humankind everywhere, over and over, whether it be whether it be goals in the gym, whether it be relationships, quite literally anything where the state of getting uncomfortable is quite necessary. It is baffling. However, make a change. It just might be good for you.
And if not, like, honestly, if you make the effort to change, and it comes back and ending in just a bunch of self-reflection, there you go. There's nothing that says, like, when you try and fix a relationship with a friend, a significant other, family member, anything like that, that it has to end positively for you to learn a lesson. It doesn't, but you have to try, right? You have to do something different. If you're just going to stand there and be stubborn and be like, well, that's just the way it is, then you're just going to accept that this is the scenario and this is the wall that you're going to run into every single time. It doesn't matter who's on the other end of the conversation. It's going to end there every time because you refuse to allow it to go past that point. So it's just going to add in, I know we're not really talking about it, but there's accountability in that sense, that you need to address the fact that you are hardwired, as we all are, to be efficient, in the sense of, like, we don't want to use energy that we don't have to. So you need to recondition and rewire yourself to use that energy, to be like, hey, I actually get a lot more out of putting a little more effort in, reassessing the situation, reflecting, sharing, communicating. All of these things take effort, but the benefits far outweigh the downsides, especially when it comes to relationships with other people, because as we know, with everything going on, things have become more and more digitized and more communicate from a distance. You're losing that personal touch. You're losing a lot of those things that we need, and that's something we learn in all of the courses we take in regards to wellness, that you need to have relationships and you need to have connections with others beyond a digital setting for them to be relevant. Absolutely. So you lose those every time you avoid a conversation, every time you accept a situation and don't voice, like, what's going on. You're losing an opportunity to strengthen that relationship with someone else, as well as understanding one yourself. So I just want to talk about that in that regards. Yes, the devil, is comfortable, but it's so much worse.
Very much so. Speaking of, what are we at for time?
We are at 9 minutes, so we are... I'm shivering today.
As am I. It is freaking cold out here today, and it's...
We did pick up some candy cane, peppermint, white hot chocolate mocha thingies from Sweet Capone's here in Red Deer, though. I stopped by on the way here to grab a couple cannolis and a couple of cups, because Coach Wolverine here never had a cannoli from Sweet Capone's, and I felt like he had to.
Fantastic, by the way. Spot on, Sweet Capone's, if you ever get a chance to watch this.
So we had a little bit of fun with that. And we're me and Coach Wolverine here, we actually sat and talked about not this, but about a bunch of stuff for about an hour prior to this video. And just the more we get into these and the more we do, and the more that you guys can provide some feedback in regards to what you want us to discuss, if there's any issues with anything that we've said, the more interaction that we have, the more we can start having conversations with you guys, in a sense, to bring some more benefit to everybody that's involved. And we've got a lot of ideas that we want to share. We don't agree on everything we talk about, but we approach it all in a way that allows us, especially myself, every time I leave these conversations that we're having, and I have for the last few years, that's why we kind of started this, with like a good feeling. It was a stimulating conversation. I've managed to pull things from it. I've got things to go up and look up at home. There's growth to be had in these conversations, and I think that was one of the biggest reasons that made us stand up and just be like, hey, we need to share these with other people. But the only way that the growth continues for all of us is if we have more engagement from everyone watching. So we appreciate it, and I can't wait till there's more going on, and we're going to keep posting, and we just want to bring you guys in and involve you as much as possible. So I just want to share my part and say thank you for everyone that's commented on the videos, reached out to myself, messaged me and everything. It's already having some fun, so I look forward to it, and 2022 is going to be a hell of a time. So
starting 2022, my plan is to have our YouTube channel up and running, so all of these will be nice, neatly organized on that platform, as well as still here on the gram. But the one thing I do have to remind everyone who does watch, keep an open mind, because an opinion does not mean fact. Anything else to add?
That's just it. I think over the holidays, with everything going on, just remember, if you don't agree with someone, it doesn't make them an asshole. But just be kind, and stay in the holiday spirit, and let's have some fun for the end of 2022 or 2021 before we get into 2022. And I'm freaking cold. I can't think right now, so I'm ready to go inside.
All right, guys, this has been another conversation over drinks. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Take care, everybody.
Fuck, 12 minutes.